Tonight, relief for Blue Jays fans as the team beats the Seattle Mariners to force a crucial Game 7 in the American League Championship Series.
It is gonna go!
Can Canada's team keep their World Series dreams alive? Plus, a brazen daytime heist at one of the world's most famous museums.
We were just ready to go in to see the Mona Lisa when they swept us out of the gallery.
Thieves break into the Louvre and make off with some priceless jewels. And he went from the top of one of Canada's most successful retail brands to a life and death existence on the streets of Vancouver's downtown east side.
I would use until I passed out, and I could be using for 24 or 48 hours straight.
How Sleep Country's co-founder hit rock bottom and survived to tell his story.
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Hennemanson.
Well, they did it. The Toronto Blue Jays are heading to Game 7. To the roar of the home crowd, the Jays pulled off a clutch win over the Seattle Mariners, forcing a decisive final game in the American League Championship Series. A huge celebration for the team's success tonight, but the job, of course, not yet done. Jays are now just one win away from a spot in the World Series and a chance to play for their first Major League Championship in more than 30 years. Thomas Dagler is outside the Rogers Centre in Toronto tonight following the action. And Thomas, some pretty excited people there right now.
Yeah, the pandemonium from inside the Rogers Centre is spilling out into the streets of downtown Toronto after this Game 6 victory. The Blue Jays had good pitching, good defense, good offense, and it paid off. They are headed to Game 7.
In Toronto, will the rhythm of fall baseball go on or be silenced?
How nervous are you feeling?
I don't know. We're not nervous tonight. We're ready to go.
Fans pouring in, knowing this could be their last game of the year.
I feel good. Go Jays, go!
Or another step toward the World Series.
We're back in it at home for the last two. All it takes is one more game. In Game 7, anything could happen.
In front of a packed house, the Jays sent 22-year-old rookie Trey Savage to the mound, showing promise early, retiring the top of the Mariners lineup in order, including this strikeout of Seattle slugger Cal Raleigh.
Look at that.
Later striking out Canadian Josh Naylor to a roar from the crowd. Then another. And another.
Trey Savage just struck out the side. The 2-2.
Then for the Jays,
And he lines it into right at base.
the offense got cooking, with Addison Barger driving home a run.
It is 1-0 Blue Jays.
Later, Ernie Clement sending the ball bouncing off the wall for a triple.
Clement is around second and heading for third. In the air to right center.
Setting up this two-run homer from the red-hot Barger. And how about this defense?
Short hopped. There's one. There's two.
Bases loaded, shutting down Seattle with a high-stakes double play.
Guerrero with a fly ball.
And here comes Vladdy. That's Guerrero with his 6th homer of the playoffs.
And a word about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. With that 6th home run of the playoffs, he has now tied the franchise records for most home runs in the postseason, tying the legendary Joe Carter and Jose Bautista. Trey Savage getting 7 strikeouts on the way to this big victory for the Jays. It is not hyperbole to say that Monday night the Jays have their biggest game since 1993, since the last time they made it to the World Series. With one more win at home, they will host the LA Dodgers in Game 1 of the World Series on Friday. This is the energy in the streets. You can imagine what it's going to look like in 24 hours if the Jays can get one more win here.
See you at Game 7. Thomas Dagler in Toronto. In France tonight, investigators are on a desperate hunt for thieves who robbed treasures from the Louvre that some call priceless. The daring daylight heist took just 7 minutes. Lisa Shing now on the crime and the questions it's raising.
A brazen heist in broad daylight, shutting down the world's most visited museum.
When it happens, it's like only happens in books.
Around 9:30 Sunday morning, just after the Louvre opened, a gang of robbers believed to be posing as construction workers pulled up on a road along the Seine River and used this crane to access a window into this room, the Apollo Gallery, which houses what's left of the French crown jewels.
We were just ready to go in to see the Mona Lisa when they swept us out of the gallery.
We heard like some white noises, like somebody stomping on the window. We heard the sounds and we didn't have no clue that it was a robbery.
The thieves stole 8 pieces worth millions of euros and described by some as priceless. Among them, this emerald jewelry set and sapphire earrings and a necklace. This crown from Napoleon III's wife, Empress Eugenie, was reportedly found outside the museum, dropped during the escape after guards tried to stop them. The 4 fled on motorbikes a mere 7 minutes after they entered.
It does appear that these were extremely well-trained robbers. They planned this meticulously, obviously.
There have been a handful of thefts at the Louvre since 1911, when the Mona Lisa vanished from its frame, stolen by a former worker, found 2 years later. French President Emmanuel Macron vowing on X to recover the works and bring the perpetrators to justice.
You can't calculate the cultural heritage value of these pieces, right? This is our shared world cultural heritage, and these objects are irreplaceable.
Museum staff have long complained there are too few resources to guard its 500,000 objects. No doubt these concerns will be part of the investigation as the manhunt continues. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
2 people are dead after a cargo plane skidded off a runway at Hong Kong International Airport. Officials say the Boeing 747, which was arriving from Dubai, ended up in the sea, the nose and tail section of the aircraft appearing to separate. 4 crew members on board were rescued. They were taken to hospital. 2 people inside an airport vehicle, though, were killed. It's believed they were hit by the plane. The incident has closed 1 runway at one of the world's busiest cargo airports, but officials say other runways are still operating. The fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is still in place tonight, but it faced a major test over the weekend. Israel launched airstrikes and briefly halted aid into Gaza after it accused Hamas of violating its end of the deal. Tom Perry is in Cairo tonight and shows us the latest violence in the region.
Once again in Gaza, ambulances, injured patients, and body bags. Israel unleashing a wave of airstrikes across the territory, killing more Palestinians, among them the brother of Salih Salman. We were sitting in a cafe drinking tea and coffee, he says, and suddenly we heard the news. They were hit and bombed, and everyone was killed. Military strikes just one part of Israel's action. Israel's government announced as well it's suspending shipments of humanitarian aid into Gaza, though they could reportedly resume Monday. All of this, Israel says, in retaliation for Hamas opening fire on Israeli soldiers.
Terrorists fired an anti-tank missile and gunfire towards our troops operating in the area of Rafah to dismantle terrorist infrastructure, all in accordance with the ceasefire agreement. Now, in response, the IDF began striking in the area to eliminate the threat.
Hamas has tried to distance itself from the Rafah incident and says it remains committed to the ceasefire, but the Israeli strikes are the latest blow to a deal that's barely a week old. Israel had already accused Hamas of violating the agreement by failing to turn over the remains of all Israel's deceased hostages. Hamas has accused Israel of breaching the deal by continuing to fire on Palestinians it says have approached Israeli positions. With strikes on Rafah in the south, Deir el-Balah in central Gaza, and elsewhere, there's fear of what might come next.
Now we have no idea what is going to happen. Since this morning, we know that there's been attacks in Rafah in the south. And then when we heard about Deir el-Balah, now we can all only imagine the worst.
Israel's defense minister has issued a warning to Hamas that it will pay a heavy price for any violations. Israel's military now says it's resumed enforcing the Gaza ceasefire, signaling a possible end to airstrikes for now. Tom Perry, CBC News, Cairo.
Ukraine's president says Donald Trump should apply more pressure on Russia to end the war, comparing Vladimir Putin to Hamas.
Putin is something similar, but more strong than Hamas.
In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, Volodymyr Zelenskyy says he told Trump he's willing to go to Budapest for peace talks with Putin. Zelenskyy also said even though he didn't secure Tomahawk missiles during his meeting at the White House, Trump didn't explicitly rule it out. Frustration over trade talks is spilling into BC's lumber sector as punishing U.S. tariffs take their toll. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the Prime Minister's meeting about tariffs in Washington with Trump. JP Tasker now on the growing unease and what we're learning about where the negotiations stand.
BC's softwood lumber sector is grappling with huge new U.S. tariffs that could put sawmills like this one out of business.
Our workforce has gone from 30 to 18, and it might be going down from there.
Andy Riley's West Vancouver company produces red cedar, and much of it is shipped to the U.S. Last week, his small firm paid some $48,000 to absorb the cost of American duties.
We're not making any profit on it. In some cases, we're losing money.
Right now, Canada-U.S. talks on tariff relief are focused on the steel and aluminum sectors, big industries in central Canada. BC's premier says the lumber sector is getting short shrift from federal negotiators, and it's fueling some regional resentment.
If you look at the auto parts sector, if you look at the primary steel sector, you put them together, softwood is bigger than both. And it just does not get that resonance.
But those bilateral negotiations have so far produced no results for any sector. CBC News has learned after more than a week of talks with his American counterparts in Washington, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is back on home soil, and there's still no deal in hand. Prime Minister Mark Carney is showing some frustration.
I can't control Donald Trump, I gotta tell you. Actually, I can't let him think I'm controlling him is maybe a better way to do it. You never know. You never know what's going to come next.
This expert on Canada-U.S. relations says hope for a good deal is fading.
To call these negotiations is a misnomer. It's White House diktat. They are telling us what they are going to do. We are on the back foot.
A senior government official tells me Minister LeBlanc could be headed back to Washington for more talks this week, but it hasn't been confirmed. In the meantime, this trade war drags on. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
Hundreds of people marched in Quebec today to honor a woman allegedly killed by her boyfriend. Gabby Renault's case is generating outrage in part because the murder suspect had been convicted at least 6 times for incidents related to domestic violence. He was accused of violating parole conditions more than a dozen times. Renault's sister organized today's march, telling the crowd that things must change. There's growing anxiety tonight for students in Alberta as the teacher strike enters its 3rd week. It's especially difficult for grade 11 and 12 students trying to plan their future. Sam Sampson shows us that even if teachers are ordered back to work, that stress for students may continue.
Paige Beck likes to stay a step ahead. During Alberta's teacher strike, the grade 11 cross-country runner is staying active and trying to teach herself a grade 12 biology course, while provincial exams called diplomas inch closer.
I am very concerned about how I'm going to do on the diploma and how that's going to affect my application to university.
They're worth a big chunk of a student's grade. November's exams are now optional due to the strike, but that doesn't help students like Beck, who will take them in January.
I've missed now 10 days of class time, which is almost an 1/8 of the course, and it's going to be very rushed when I get back to school. Stand up, fight back.
The province-wide strike is heading into its third week. The union and the province are stuck on issues like classroom sizes and salaries. The government is threatening back-to-work legislation.
If we do not get back to the table next week with the students returning to classroom, you should fully expect that there'll be legislation in the week of October 27th.
That's good and bad news for grade 12 students who worry teachers forced back to work won't do anything outside the classroom.
On one hand, I'm really glad that the teachers are doing something because the class sizes are also affecting my learning. The strike is also affecting my learnings. Work to rule, like no sports teams, no clubs, no activities, no school trips. It's gonna absolutely upend our last year of high school.
Ooh, there you go. Same thing.
The strike has canceled some regular season games for student athletes. The Edmonton Elks opened up their field to help players practice, but the window for students to tape their performance for scouts is narrowing.
They start looking at you in grade 11 and they start scouting you out. I'm sure it'll all work out in the end, but it does suck, of course, to lose film and lose those opportunities that could be presented to you in the future.
Just another thing to catch up on when students are back in school. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
Some Canadian snowbirds say they were surprised to be fingerprinted and photographed at the U.S. border. It's part of a new requirement for long-term stays, but it appears not all experiences at the border are the same. Sophia Harris now with what snowbirds should know before heading south.
Snowbird Steve Blair says he had an unusual experience when crossing the U.S. land border this month for his winter stay.
He just said, we're going to take your picture and your fingerprints now, and it's going to be $30.
Were you surprised?
On the fingerprints and on the photo, yes, I was.
It's part of the new registration requirement for people visiting the U.S. for 30 days or longer. Air travelers are typically registered automatically, but many land travelers are not. So they must ensure they get the job done. U.S. Customs and Border Protection told CBC News Canadians who register at the border will be charged $30 U.S. each and will be photographed and fingerprinted to enhance border security and verify travelers' identities.
They have the full discretion on how they want to inspect and admit Canadians.
But this U.S. immigration lawyer says Canadian travelers have another option. If the border officer allows them to enter without registering, they can fill out this G-325 immigration form when in the U.S. to satisfy the requirement. There's no fee and no fingerprinting.
If you're savvy with a computer and you don't want to deal with a land port of entry or a CBP officer, don't be too intimidated by the G325. It's not an overly cumbersome application.
He said, we're going to take a photo and then we'll do your fingerprints.
But not everyone may get a choice, this snowbird says. An officer registered her and her husband at the border and offered no alternatives.
And it wasn't like, would you like to have your photograph? Would you like to have your, that was nothing. It was just, this is the way it's done. And you just do it and you fall in line. And we want to keep coming back every year. So we just did it, right?
For some snowbirds, the added scrutiny may serve as a deterrent if they were already on the fence about visiting the U.S. due to its trade war with Canada. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Bassist and co-founder of the band Limp Bizkit, Sam Rivers, has died. The band confirmed Rivers' death on social media this weekend, though no details of the circumstances were shared. Limp Bizkit formed in 1994 and has released 6 studio albums. They were scheduled to tour Latin America in November. Rivers was 48. A routine oil change and a highway crash has a Canadian Tire customer calling out their local shop.
It was like the car was being dragged backward. I was frightened to my near death.
What went wrong and how the company's responding. A Yukon First Nation is using new tech to maintain old traditions.
When I leave to the spirit world, I'm going to leave my knowledge behind.
And a new Canadian champion at the Toronto Marathon.
Toronto.
We're back in 2.
Game, set a match, Fernandez.
A new trophy for Canadian tennis star Leylah Fernandez. She won the Japan Women's Open in Osaka today, her 2nd title of the year and 5th overall. The 23-year-old beat 18-year-old Teresa Valentova of Czech Republic to take the victory. Next, she'll stay in Japan to face fellow Canadian Victoria Mboko at the Pan Pacific Open in Tokyo.
Game, set match. Auger-Aliassime.
And that is Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime winning the European Open in Belgium. The 25-year-old from Montreal beat his Czech opponent 2-1. This victory marking Auger-Aliassime's third title of the season and the 8th of his tennis career. He's currently ranked 13th in the world. A Canadian Tire customer says a routine service turned into a highway emergency after staff used plastic zip ties to hold a key part of his car together. Rosa Marcatelli from our Go Public unit breaks down what happened and the safety concerns it raises.
So this was the inside corner. This part here is the inside. And this is how it was bent to be folded.
You're looking at what's left of a critical part of Travis Jones's Honda Civic after what he says began with a simple oil change at his local Canadian Tire. Jones says he knew something was wrong as soon as he left the shop in May 2023.
It was like the car was being dragged backward. I was frightened to my near death.
Back at the shop in Clarenville, Newfoundland, staff found several metal bolts missing from the protective shield under Jones's car, bolts that are often removed during oil changes. But instead of replacing them, staff used plastic zip ties to hold the metal shield in place.
That was an improper repair from the get-go. There's no two ways about this.
Canadian Tire told Go Public it didn't have the bolts, and the ties were a short-term temporary solution. But Jones says no one told him that. Months later, Jones says some of the zip ties snapped while he was driving at highway speed, the metal cover dropping onto the road, sending him into a ditch.
This time, Rosa, I lost full control. I did have minor injuries.
Canadian Tire offered to cover the damage. First, about $400 for a Honda dealership to replace the bolts, and months later, a few hundred more for damage after the ditch crash. But Jones would have to pay out of pocket first.
They should have been paying Honda directly. They shouldn't have expected me, a customer, to then pay for the repairs that was needed because of their mistakes.
Canadian Tire says each location is individually owned and operated, saying it made several attempts to try and resolve things with Jones and is still open to doing so. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Our Go Public stories come from you, so if you have a tip for the team to investigate, send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. The price of gold is continuing to surge under unusual circumstances.
A lot of what we're seeing is about fear right now.
What's driving the record rally? Sleep Country's co-founder opens up about performing at the highest level while secretly fighting addiction.
I was hoping that I would overdose and then that would solve my problems, but I didn't have the courage to kill myself.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Members of a Yukon First Nation are going high-tech to protect their heritage. Some of the Nacho-Nyack Duns elders have been turned into holograms as a way of sharing their knowledge and stories. Juanita Taylor now on the cultural intersection of tradition and technology.
I think it's amazing.
Crystal Prophet is seeing her 70-year-old uncle as a hologram image for the first time.
I'm really excited about it. I actually have goosebumps. I had tears.
This digital version of Franklin Lee Patterson shows how to make traditional medicine from plants.
I can't believe that there's two of me in Mayo.
The First Nation of Nacho-Nyack Dun in Mayo, Yukon, partnered with Carleton University to develop technology to help preserve their way of life, using artificial intelligence and holograms. The project has a Northern Techoni name, a language with less than a dozen speakers left. It means keep the fire burning. This elder says he didn't lose his language in residential school.
Just like my mom and dad say, carry on this. Don't let it die. Don't let it fade away. Carry on.
And that is why Walter Peter agreed to take part in the project.
All right. I'm disoriented.
The project is multi-platform, including using virtual reality, desktops, and tablets, all things people of all ages use.
Okay, now you got to listen, okay?
Yes, okay.
Teaching language through elders' voices from the community.
See the character here, and that's the beauty of this device that allows audience to feel that they are actually here, and it makes it a lot more engaging.
For Patterson, he admits he was skeptical at first about it.
I didn't like it because I'm going to give my knowledge, and what are they going to do with it? Where's it going to go? Now, I've woken up and I've thought about it, and I thought, no, that's technology. And the change, we have to be involved with the change to make it good for the children and to teach them through this hologram.
The First Nation says only the community can access the information, but it is willing to share the model with other First Nations.
This is what Truth and Reconciliation is really about. You know, this is our day to reclaim our voices, and we're not going to let it go.
A community celebration was held to unveil the project.
When I leave to the spirit world, I'm going to leave my knowledge behind on that machine.
For generations to come. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Mayo, Yukon.
Time now to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Spurred by investor fears of a shaky economic outlook, the price of gold has surged into record territory. How the search for safety is driving gold's gains. But first,
I was hoping that I would overdose and then that would solve my problems.
a successful entrepreneur comes clean about the hidden drug habit that had him scouring Vancouver streets searching for his next fix. Gordon Lownds' story now captured in a new book. For the first time in years, Lownds returned to Vancouver's downtown east side to share his story with me, with the hope his tale might help someone caught in the grips of Canada's ongoing drug crisis.
What would you describe as rock bottom for you?
Oh boy. It was definitely the last 3 months of my using. I had collapsed some of the veins in my arm because I'd been using so much. So I was sitting like poking around, like trying to find a vein, which is very painful. I would use until I passed out, and I could be using for 24 or 48 hours straight. I would pass out, I'd get up the next day and say, like I have to get my act together. And I just, the sort of the mental challenge of doing that was just overwhelming. So the solution was I'll just get high again. And that's what it was like. I was hoping that I would overdose and then that would solve my problems.
Wow.
But I didn't have the courage to kill myself.
Vancouver is a city of gleaming towers, fancy restaurants, and high-end shops. But just a short walk from all of that is a much different world. The downtown east side, where the dangers of addiction are always easy to find. This is also where Gordon Lownds found himself, at the pinnacle of his career as CEO of one of Canada's most successful retailers. He was wandering these alleyways in search of the cocaine that had taken over his life. He considers himself one of the rare lucky ones to survive these streets and his addiction. And for the first time in nearly 30 years, he's come back to the downtown east side to share his story. So how does it feel to be walking here?
Oh, it brings back bad memories for sure. And I've been in a lot of these alleys, mostly at nighttime, and they're dangerous places to be. I almost got knifed in one alley, and yeah, it's a rough place.
I'm curious, when you look around here and you look into the faces of the people who are on the streets of the downtown east side,
yeah,
what do you see?
I see sadness, despair, and complete hopelessness.
For Gordon Lownds, that life of sadness despair, and hopelessness began with a single, terrible decision he made nearly 30 years ago. I want to start with the moment in your life that I think changed everything, and that was the first time that you smoked crack cocaine. Take us to that moment.
Yeah. So I ended up with getting involved with the ultimate femme fatale. She was a stripper from Seattle. I've been dating her for about a year when I was in Seattle every couple of weeks on business. She ended up moving in with me in Vancouver. And within 2 months of her moving in, I discovered that she had a drug problem. I came home one day early and she was all messed up and broke down and admitted that she was a drug addict. She'd been an addict since she was 16 years old. We got her into treatment a couple of times. It didn't work. I basically said to her, you know, I can't live with someone who's an addict like this. Like, it's just not, you know, I'm too busy and I don't want to have that stress. And she basically said, I'll leave, but at least try it with me once and you'll be able to see how it makes me feel and you'll have a bit more empathy for my situation. So on a Friday night, we sat down on the kitchen table. She handed me a crack pipe.
And at that point in your life, you're 48 years old.
Yeah.
You had not used any drugs at all,
right,
except one time hash when you were like 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't do drugs. I was around them in the music business back in the 70s, and I just didn't try them. I didn't drink much, and so I didn't have any of those sort of tendencies. So it was a complete shock to me that at the age of 48, by smoking crack once, and I thought I was invincible. I think I could do this. It's not a big deal. I'll survive, and it caught me.
The passage in your book where you describe this moment is incredible. I'd like you to read it for us here. It begins with seconds after exhaling.
Okay. Seconds after exhaling, a powerful rush of euphoria washes over me. Exploding in a kaleidoscopic starburst inside my brain, a supersized supernova. I'm engulfed by an overwhelming, mind-blowing meteor shower of ecstasy that wraps me in a cozy cocoon of pure joy. And then a vast calm, like the eerie stillness of floating in outer space. In a New York second, I'm feeling very fine, then fantastic, and then fucking awesome.
And that feeling was so powerful that for the next, 1,000 days, it was the most important thing in your life.
Yeah. Getting high solved all of my problems. When you're stressed about work or you're stressed about being an addict and you're stressed about people finding out, getting high is the solution. It just makes you feel better.
And the extraordinary thing is, while you were doing this on Friday nights and Saturdays and Sundays here in Vancouver, you were continuing as the CEO of Sleep Country, one of the most successful retailers in Canada. As incredible as all of that is, it eventually did affect your life, and you couldn't keep these two parts of your life going.
Yeah, so the stress of people finding out that I was messed up, and I was getting increasingly messed up, on a regular basis, and I didn't think I could carry off the charade anymore. So I was constantly terrified that I would get caught out in some, outrageous lie, and there were a lot of outrageous lies that I told to account for where I was supposed to be, but I wasn't. And so it was like this huge sort of tidal wave of stress building and building and building and building. I ended up shooting up cocaine within a year of that first hit on a crack pipe. And by May of 1998, I couldn't hold it together. I was certain that I was going to crash and everybody would find out. So I took a leave of absence from work, and I told my partners that I would be back on the job by Labor Day, and I figured 3 months, I'll have enough time to get myself clean and sober, with no stress, no distractions, and all I did was basically just continue to go downhill. So I was completely isolated, basically shooting up cocaine on a daily basis.
And at one point, this executive from Sleep Country, Canada, is walking around here in the downtown east side trying to score drugs.
Yeah. I would use until I passed out, and I could be using for 24, 48 hours straight. I would pass out, I'd get up the next day and say, I have to get my act together, and I just, the mental challenge of doing that was just overwhelming. So the solution was I'll just get high again. And that's what it was like. I was hoping that I would overdose and then that would solve my problems. Well, but I didn't have the courage to kill myself.
After more than 1,000 days of being addicted to cocaine, Gordon Lownds, still the CEO of Sleep Country Canada, turned to his friend and company co-founder to finally ask for help.
2 days past my deadline that I had set for myself, I broke down and phoned Steve Gunn and I said, look, I've had some health problems, but what you don't know is that I've got a cocaine problem and it's really bad. And I thought that he was just gonna blast off at me and being really upset with me. And he surprised me. He said, I'm really sorry. What can I do to help? So it was a kind of compassion that I didn't know existed, and I didn't believe I was willing, or I was able to accept it.
And really incredible even today, but in 1998,
yeah,
for him to have that compassionate view is extraordinary.
Yeah.
In 1998, while you were going through the throes of this, I was doing a lot of stories on the downtown east side. And I look now here, and it looks the same as it did back then.
Yeah.
Will it ever change?
Oh, I used to be told that, roughly 10% of the people who try to get clean and sober are successful, which is really, really depressing on its own. I understand that, with some new meds that are available today, it's up to sort of 15, 20, 25%, but it's still a percentage. And when you look at the combination of the homeless problems here, the mental health problems, the addiction problems, I don't understand how we'll ever get out of it. I do know that I think a core solution starts with housing. Because when you get people off the street and into housing, then they regain some of their dignity and they have some hope that maybe they can turn their life around. And secondly, that no matter how messed up people are, there is always hope that you can turn your life around. And it's never too late to make that decision, to ask for help and accept the help. And the biggest challenge that people have who are addicts is basically asking for help. And I refuse to ask for help. I was too proud. And pride can kill you, as they say. So what I did do was accept the help when it was offered, basically because I didn't think I had a choice. So I was lucky in that sense.
And you're better now?
Yeah, yeah.
You answered that almost too quickly.
I'm better now. I'm much more humble. I'm incredibly grateful for the life that I've been able to get back to. I've rekindled and basically fixed the relationships with my daughter, which I really seriously damaged. Like when I got messed up, she was like 17 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the reasons I didn't publish the book back 20 years ago, because I didn't want to have it affect her. And so yeah, my life has returned, to somewhat normal. I'm now a recluse on Vancouver Island, so what better place to be?
Well, thank you for telling the story. It's a great read, and it's really nice talking to you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
It's also a reminder that it doesn't matter how much money you make, how good you are in your life. Addiction really is the great equalizer, and we see it time and again, particularly in the downtown east side. Coming up, with confidence in the U.S. dollar eroding and uncertainty in the global economy, more investors are turning to gold.
If you think about gold as a mirror onto the rest of the world, you could really describe it as being the sum of all fears.
Why those fears are pushing gold prices into record territory. Next. Gold, long regarded as a safe haven for investors, once again drawing their attention.
Investors are looking for an inflation hedge.
Surpassing the $4,000 ounce mark this month for the first time ever. The price of gold hit a record high Friday.
It is the biggest rally since the 1970s.
So what's behind this modern-day gold rush? Andrew Chang, host of About That, explains why demand for the precious metal is surging, even as stock markets are booming.
Gold is valuable, but right now it's crazy valuable.
worth more today than it ever has in history. And it's made these astronomical gains in a shockingly short period of time.
The value of gold rise to a record high this week. It is the biggest rally since the 1970s.
At the time I record this, you can buy an ounce of gold for just over $4,100 US. An ounce, just for reference, is just a bit more than what this AA battery weighs. And we know, as far as investments go, gold is relatively safe, right? I mean, there's only so much of it to go around, unlike paper money, which we can just keep printing. So when the price of gold spikes, that tells you investors are looking for safe places to park their money.
Investors are looking for an inflation hedge. They're worried about the huge debts that are being run up by major economies around the world as a result of rising inflation. Investors are going to need a safe haven, and gold is one of those possibilities.
Why would they be looking for safety right now, you ask, especially when the stock market's been shooting up? Well, because it's a little too shooty-uppy right now. The AI boom is really distorting things, and it's more of a stock driver right now than a real economic driver. I'm not saying it's a bubble, but maybe it's bubbly. And so while investors keep riding the high, they also know nothing lasts forever.
Markets tumbled after China imposed export controls on rare earth minerals, and U.S. President Donald Trump responded with a 100% tariff on Chinese goods.
I think an awful lot of what we're seeing is about fear right now. If you think about gold as a mirror onto the rest of the world, you could really describe it as being the sum of all fears, whether they be geopolitical or economic.
So there's that. But also think about what's happening to the US dollar. Donald Trump wants a weaker dollar.
When we have a strong dollar, one thing happens. It sounds good. But you don't do any tourism, you can't sell tractors, you can't sell trucks, you can't sell anything. But you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar. Not a weak dollar, but a weaker dollar than you do with a strong dollar.
And Trump's big, beautiful bill, which experts figure will add several $1 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 or so years. More debt equals more dollars flowing in the economy, equals more inflation, equals a weaker dollar. And here's why that affects the price of gold. One, gold is priced in US dollars. So when the value of a dollar goes down, it just takes more of them to buy an ounce of gold. But with all the uncertainty in the US economy right now, trade policy forever turning on a dime, runaway deficits, the government shutdown. Yeah, you're gonna have investors who think, not sure where the economy's going right now. Gold looks awfully good right now. And that includes central banks around the world.
As you see sovereigns around the world, as you see central banks around the world, as you see individual investors around the world go, you know what? I now view gold as a safe harbor asset in a way that the dollar used to be viewed.
They've been hoovering up gold, just sucking it right up lately, like there's no tomorrow, globally buying billions of dollars in gold just in the last couple of months. That also raises the price. Some people are forecasting as high as $5,000 an ounce by next year. And gold is one of those funny assets where casual investors like you and me don't always think to buy it when its value is tanking. We see the price going up and our eyes light up, which keeps the good times going, reinforcing what we've known all along, that long-term, the price of gold has only ever really gone in one direction.
As nervous investors drive up the demand for gold, Canadian jewelers are feeling the squeeze. Some well-known brands are raising their prices, while others are relying on supplier discounts or changing their jewelry designs to use less of the precious metal. Up next, a new Canadian champion is crowned at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon.
It's been a dream of mine since I started doing marathoning 10 years ago.
How she got here and how she's celebrating in our moment. This is Rachel Hanna right before she crossed the finish line at the 2025 Toronto Waterfront Marathon. But she didn't just finish the race, she won her first Canadian Marathon Championship, and tonight that accomplishment makes our moment.
This feels very special to me because I feel this is sort of the most challenging event, so this was definitely a bucket list item for my career. This is my first time winning the Canadian Marathon Championships. It's been a dream of mine since I started doing marathoning 10 years ago. I ran 2:33:47 today, and that's one of my fastest times. I think condition-wise, it was a bit challenging with the wind and a bit warmer than I would say ideal marathon weather. I think that's what marathoning success is, and just telling yourself you can do it all the way to the finish. I'm having to have that sort of mental discussion with myself when I'm pushing hard and I start to get tired. My family was watching at the finish line. My sister lives in the city, so I'm gonna call her after and see, and maybe go out for a meal. And I haven't been able to eat that much yet, but I'm sure my next meal is gonna taste very good. So just get something that is not very good for me. That's sort of the goal.
Just doing a marathon is an accomplishment that so many people like me can't even imagine. Doing it in a pretty good time, even better, but imagine winning a Canadian championship. From all of us on The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Vancouver. I hope you join me on CBC News Network, weeknights at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. See you then.